hunters reached out and they said, okay, so when basically what happens is when you go through and close on the house, I then was supposed to find a couple other homes that were on the market that we would then be able to tour. When they actually do the episode, they've already bought the house. I think the barrier to entry is very low for the industry. And I feel like the expectations and things that people have are not based in reality. I'm just saying here's what I need. Everything else is going to stay within the business and be reinvested to help the business grow so that I can say, all right, you know what? Oh, cool. Like I have enough money in the account. So I know that I can make my payroll, which is myself, for 5 years. I don't have like a secret sauce or something that I can't share with other people, because all it takes is to turn off that pipeline and now you're stuck.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. I'm really excited today. I've got Dru Hill. Yes, you heard that right. Dru Hill. He has been in the industry for 10 years. And I actually saw him a while ago, just kind of like I see his name around. When I reached out to him to ask him if he was interested in being on the show, I was like, yes, he's going to say yeah. So it's really cool. I'm excited to have him here. We're going to have some awesome conversation. So welcome, Dru, to my show.
Thank you. I appreciate you reaching out. I'd love to talk, especially about real estate. I'm happy that you reached out. This will be fun.
Yeah, I also love to talk. It's good. We got two people who like to talk about real estate. But the other thing I remember we were talking about when we did our first connection call was like the real side of real estate, like the things that you don't see on TV. Right? Sure. Or the things that most people, you think you're getting into real estate for one thing, but then you actually realize you're getting into real estate for something entirely different.
Yeah. And I was slightly hoodwinked by that myself. I used to love house hunters and things like that. And I just love that aspect of, oh, boom, boom, boom. And you get on the phone and like, oh, hey, hold on a second, let me call them. Yep, they'll still do it. And then, yes, then being in the industry and then almost having the opportunity to do an episode of House Hunters myself. And kind of when they reached out and told me how it was going to be. And I was like, oh, okay. That's not at all what I thought it was.
Tell me. I don't know. I've never.
So I had a client and I helped her, find a home. She's a buyer. And then when we were under contract, she said, hey, I submitted my information to House Hunters. They reached out to me. Awesome. So then House Hunters reached out. And basically what happens is when you go through and close on the house, I then was supposed to find a couple other homes that were on the market that we would then be able to tour. And they actually do the episode. They've already bought the house, right? So they're going through looking at these homes, but they already have the house. But they're going through and making it look like, hey, we're looking at these other homes during this process, or, making these calls, yada, yada, yada. So the idea is my client, they ended up not closing because of a financing issue, but had they closed, then I would have identified the other properties that we could go tour. And then they would bring out the crews to go and film us, looking at these homes. And then ultimately their home that they already have in purchase will be the one that they would actually decide on.
I've always wondered that because I remember watching it being like, I wonder, like, do they actually decide? Because sometimes you watch a show and the houses are so extremely different.
Yeah. And sometimes I feel like that was a poor choice. I would have gone with a different one. But yeah, they've already decided. So they're already done.
It's interesting. I've never seen that. The other one I used to watch a lot on HGTV was the one where they would like go with a different agent at different houses. I can't remember what it was called, but my mom's been in the industry her whole life. And she's like, that's so unethical. Like, you can't do that. And I'm like, Mom, it's TV. I don't think it's real, but I can't remember which one it was. It was always fascinating to watch the real estate TV shows and then actually get into the industry and realize, oh, nothing like I thought.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What did you think? Like when you first got into real estate, why? What did you expect versus what you actually experienced?
It's something I always wanted to do, mainly because of just people telling me that they think I'd be good at it. I'm a people person. I feel like somewhat of some magnetism. Meet people, we're kind of instant, fast friends. And also like to help people. And so being able to help people with those things would be really impactful. And I actually just did it on a humbug. My wife had she was gone for a couple of weeks during the holidays. So I was working in marketing at the time. At the end of the year in the marketing space, it's all parties. All the budgets have been spent. And like we're not doing anything until we have the new year when companies have more budget to spend. And I don't have kids yet. So just kind of sit there and play video games for, 3 weeks or do something productive. And opted to, kind of start on a path of getting licensed. In my mind, I got licensed, started looking for brokerages, and I saw an ad for John L. Scott. Okay, can be a real estate agent and make $100,000. And I was like, that sounds great. Love that. And then I just expect it to just happen, right? I expect people to just call. You just get, and it's like, hey, here's a place you can sit and make phone calls, and here's your desk time you need to sign up for. And I'm like, when do the clients come? When does the house selling start? So yeah, I think that's one of the things when it comes to the industry is just I feel like a lot of people they don't get the real understanding of what goes into all the things. A lot of people get set up for failure, in my opinion.
I think that's true. Did you go to John L. Scott? Were you there?
I did.
How long were you there?
I was at John L. Scott for, I think, about 6 months. So I got there, and then I guess a designated broker who was there at that office, who I went and interviewed with, she left like 2 months after I got there and went to, I think, to a Windermere office. And I'm like, okay. And then I had met someone, we connected via Twitter, and he was telling me, hey, if you're getting started, he's been in the industry for a long time. He said, you need to attach yourself to the highest producing like broker in that office. And so I did, reached out to him, asked him about mentorship, and he was, traveling at the time. I'm just being like impatient. So, okay, when I get back, we'll talk. And then there's a lot of other things. And by then I was like, all right, well, I feel like I have no guidance, no direction. I'm really trying to like be active and do things. So I ended up leaving after about 6 months.
Yeah, I don't know if we talked about that. I was there too. Before my current brokerage, I was there for about 9 months. Was it 9 months? It might have been about the same as you, 6 to 9 months, something like that. And then I was like, cool, it's a great brokerage, but it was a very different experience. I think different than what I was wanting. So
yeah, and also I feel like I think brokerages, they really have to make sure that they are tailoring their, whatever educational things that they're doing to people that they have, and understanding that some things for someone who's just getting into it is not going to be super relevant. There's also other things, I feel like the brokers, a lot of older people. So a lot of the trainings and such that they were doing were around like super basic, to me, tech related things. Why are we spending an hour talking about sending text messages? So, but what have you, it's fine.
Yeah. There's something for everybody, right? And that's like the cool thing about our industry that people don't really think about is like when I first got in, like my option was my mom, because my mom's been in the business my whole life. So I literally had no other option. I were to get into the business after my mom had coerced me, almost, I'm kidding. But after my mom had like convinced me for years to finally get my license, and then I do it. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go somewhere else. Wouldn't have flown very well. But I think like as I grew my business, I separated from my mom, and she does her thing now. She's in Ocean Shores and I do my thing. But like I didn't realize, maybe because of that limited perception, that there were so many different options out there, and that each brokerage you go to, not even just each brokerage, but each division or manager within each brokerage, like everything, there's so many different options. And I think that's the really cool thing that we do have in our industry, is that we get to pick and choose where we want our life, our career to go, and then we get to go on that path.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So one of the things we kind of connected on our first call was improving, like being advocates for improving the industry and improving the professionalism within our industry. Talk to me a little bit more about that.
I do think just in general, the barrier to entry is very low in the industry. And I don't think it needs to be anything to where, you need to have college degrees and things like that. I don't have one, but I do think it is very easy to get into. And I feel like the expectations and things that people have are not based in reality. I feel like a lot of people are, especially with the advent of a lot of these brokerages, there's a high focus on getting people on your downline. And, a lot of times they're just, you're doing nothing with your life, get your real estate license, which I do appreciate that for the industry, that you can get into it and you can kind of chart your own path. And it is something that if you're willing to put in the work, it is something that, again, without degrees, without a lot of different knowledge, you can get into it and be successful. But I do think, as a whole, we are, as an industry, under attack and having an industry and agents and such that, are not holding that high level of professionalism impacts us. The brokerage I was at for a period of time, called Farah, that whole thing came a thing because someone in tech had a bad experience with a real estate agent. So he decided to create a tech platform to essentially eliminate, real estate agents.
I remember that.
Yeah.
It's not around anymore, is it?
What's that?
Is it still around?
No, it's not.
I didn't think so.
No, they're not. There's a lot of people who have a lot of things to say about real estate agents, real estate brokers, and, the money that some of us make. I do think the more you have people having bad experiences with them, the more those types of things get legs. I also believe that just in having communication with people, to me, it's not hard to pick up a phone. If someone's calling you, or return a phone call, return an email. Sometimes I'll be looking through the MLS and I'm looking at some of the pictures and I'm just like, why are these pictures here? How did this person get this listing? That's one thing. At one point in time, I was like, I just want to like deliver and tell people like clients deserve a better class of real estate agent. And I want to be that for people. Just as a whole, have that value proposition and defend our value and what we bring to the table. And it really requires people as a whole to kind of have that same standard.
Right. What do you think fixes that though? Right. Like to your point, who was it? There was, Brian Buffini. We all know who Brian Buffini is.
Yeah.
He says this all the time. And he said real estate's one of the most powerful industries to get into because it is the lowest barrier of entry. It's one of the only businesses you can get into for under $1,000 and have billions of dollars in inventory, right? It's unlike if you have a side hustle, like a product, like a network marketing product, for example, like a supplement industry or whatever, you have to buy the product. You have to pay for all that product and it sits on your shelf, and if you don't sell it, you're just wasting that money. Whereas like real estate, like you don't have to buy the product, you just got to buy the license.
Yeah, and we don't own anything that we sell, which
Correct.
is another thing. In some instances, it naturally takes care of itself to some degree. People who going through that right now, a lot of people came into the industry in 2021, where it was easy, money was free.
I call that fake estate. It was fake estate, not real estate.
Yeah. And so now some of those people, I see them kind of cycling out. It's not easy right now, and people are continuing to have to reinvent themselves and do different things. So that's going to happen naturally. I think consumers have to do better about who they're choosing to work with and understanding that this is a big deal. This is the biggest purchase or sale that people will make in their lives. Should take it more seriously. Like you shared about the person who interviewed you, say, I'm interviewing you and 9 other people. Here's how we're going to do it. We're going to line you up. We're going to go through the process. And I always tell people talking to me, oh, are you interviewing other agents? Well, you should. I'm not confident in myself, what I bring to the table. You absolutely should interview other people. If the consumer would go through a little more due diligence and like research, okay, like who is this person that's calling me or who am I talking to? That would help. I feel like brokerages as well, they need to do a better job. We're doing that within our suggested multiple times within my own brokerage. There needs to be standards, right? It reflects poorly, on brands, brokerages and things like that. If people are out there and they're not, rarely have I had any situation in my time where anyone's cared about the brokerage that I hung my license. But I did have one person where I had to fight because they're like, poor experience with a Keller Williams agent. I'm like, ma'am, there's thousands, millions of Keller Williams agents, right? And there's not a lot to be affiliated and associated. So I feel like there needs to be some quality control on the brokerage side as well. And just knowing like, hey, like what we do at brokerage I'm with, which is Keller Williams Greater Seattle, is new agents. You can't just go and start doing stuff. Even like open houses, like you have to shadow someone doing X amount of open houses before you can't stop someone. But we do have agents in our office who are, hey, I have this listing, does someone want to hold it open? To get one of those opportunities, you have to have gone through and shadowed someone previously. I do feel like there is some quality control that can happen on the brokerage side.
Yeah. I mean, I love that you put the emphasis on everyone, right? Because real estate is not just us as the agents or the brokers. I mean, there is brokerages, there is the consumer, and there's a lot of consumer responsibility out there. I 100% agree with you on that. So I like that you, as agents, like when we first get into the business, I think the solution is to do exactly what you said and grab onto someone like I did with my mom, right? I learned for the first couple of years of my business, I basically did whatever my mom told me to do because she has so much experience and lots of success. So of course I'm going to listen to her. And like you did, grabbed onto one of the mentors the higher producing mentors in your office. And I think that's a big thing. But then how, as we start to progress in our career, we've been in the business for 10 years. I've been about 8 or 9 years now. So as we start to progress, as you started to progress, how have you decided or chosen what steps to take to improve your professionalism? Like
it's learning. So I go to 2 to 3 events a year to learn from other agents from around the country, attend a lot of masterminds, whether it be on Zoom or on phone calls or things like that, just to learn from other people who are successful. I love getting feedback, from clients. I don't just want you to give me that 5-star review. I want you to be honest with me. Well, I want you to give me the 5-star review. Privately, I want you to tell me, if there are things that you feel like, I could improve on. Like I've gone and I always ask for feedback. And there are things within myself where I've realized, like I've received referrals from past clients and I go and I'm like, oh, cool. Past client, I'm gonna go ahead and get this new client, chit chat with them. And then they end up going with another agent because I went into it just assuming that this is my client, right? So I'm like, okay, now I need to make sure that I'm dialing in my presentation, my buyer's presentation, my listing presentation, and make sure that it's consistent no matter who it is. If I have a family member or something, I need to make sure I'm going through that same process and delivering the same thing. Same thing when I go to my listings, like there's a brand aspect, right? So if someone goes to, and this is why I just don't take whatever, listings as well. Like it needs to be a relationship with my client that, hey, here's you called me. I don't call people. Like I don't cold call people or any of that kind of stuff. You called me. So here's how we're going to do this here. So I present things. There's a certain expectation. If someone sees my sign hanging in your yard, there's an expectation as far as what they're going to get from a product standpoint. And I don't put bad product out there. And so it's just making sure that this is my life. This is what I do. It's how I feed my kids. I cannot go at this point in life, go work for someone else. I can't do corporate life. So this is it. So I need to make sure that I'm, protecting my brand and my image. And that's super important to me. And that professionalism and things like that is how I feel like I have to work extra hard, to outperform others. So that's an important thing to me.
But you nailed it. And have you read the book Raving Fans?
I'm not, no.
Okay, you should read it, add it to your library. To me, it's you must read it every year sort of thing. It's so short. It's written like a fable, like a parable. You nailed it in that in order to have consistency with clients, regardless of what lead source they come in, you have to treat everybody like they're the first time meeting them, right? You can't just assume that just because I got a referral from my brother, and I did the same thing not too long ago, got a referral from my brother, and it's like, oh, it's my client. I'm not worried about it, right? I mean, I still followed my process and still did everything the way I do it, but I still had in my mind, oh, it doesn't matter. I'm still going to get it, right? Because I've always gotten it. Yeah. But I think you just nailed it when you're like, you just assume, right? Because that's where we start to lose that professionalism. It starts to become more like we're kind of friends with our clients, but that's where we start to be friends more than like I'm the expert. And it also like makes when you don't go into the initial phases of the relationship with that expert mindset, it makes it harder when it comes to needing to talk to them about price reductions or the tough conversations that you have to have inevitably down the line. It makes it harder, I think.
Absolutely.
I actually had this conversation with one of my agents that I was working with yesterday, how she's been in the business for a few years, but she's having a hard time with understanding that the reason the house that she has on the market isn't selling and everyone was like, it's price. And she's like, it's not price. It's not price. It's not price. And I'm like, price. Price. And so we kind of talk through, and she has this listing that's like identified as a 2-bedroom, but it has a loft. I was like, okay, so it's got 2 bedrooms with a loft. And she said, well, the second bedroom is open. And I was like, so the second bedroom isn't a bedroom. The second bedroom is a loft, but it has a bathroom, but it's not a bedroom. Interesting. Because I was talking to her, like kind of helping her see that perspective. And I said, what's actually interesting is right now you're graduating from being a real estate agent into being a real estate professional. And you understand that when you're an agent, you can kind of get away with not having the tough conversation. The 2020, 2021 agents, where it's like, everything's easy. Everything's easy. Let's just like,
put it on.
Get my license.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Right. And now it's like, no, you have to be a professional. So I actually think that this shift that we're going through right now, we're going to really see the professionals level up, and we're going to see the agents probably get out.
Yeah.
It's like just that mentality versus just the actual title. But okay, I want to talk about something that I know I'm not the only one who's ever asked you this. I know there's probably a lot of people who are going to listen and be like, Dru Hill, talk about it. Talk about your name, because I know it's something I actually
so
the reason I remember you.
I'm Andrew Hill. Actually, EWAND or EW Hill is my actual name. I've always been Dru. I think there's probably 5 people, like close family members, who have ever called me Andrew in life. Sometimes my parents, sometimes it'll be Dru, sometimes it'll be Andrew. So that's what it's been. Growing up, I think it was Dru Hill, the R&B group, was popular. This is mid-90s. I was living in central Pennsylvania, so we're right hour or so from Baltimore, kind of when they came up. When Dru Hill became popular, I was probably 11 or so, 10 or 11, somewhere in there. And at that point, I changed the spelling, to DRU. It became a thing. Never thought about it really ever. And then that's just what I went by, going on now 26 years or so. And then I actually, as far as from a business perspective, there was a brief period of time where I was like, well, I feel like because I'm doing real estate, I should be taking myself seriously, and we use my actual government name and things like that. And I had someone I was working with at the time, a real estate agent named Cappy Albright. She's like, no, you need to stick with Dru. So because that's who you are. She's like, that's who you've always been. You're not an Andrew, you're a Dru. And also that name recognition, people of a certain age will get it. They'll remember it. And, a lot of times I'll have potential clients, they'll meet me like, man, have we met before? Your name seems familiar. And I tell them, and they're like, oh, yeah, that's it. So it always sticks with people, kind of 2 sides to it. I'll get messages sometimes in Facebook or Instagram from people who think I'm the R&B group. Hey, I love your music so much. And I'm just like, oh, thank you. But then also, from if we were to Google search your name, you're going to come up in all of your things. You Google search my name, and it's going to be primarily the R&B group, some of my stuff mixed in, a double-edged sword, as it were. But yeah. And, I have other ties too. So like my cousin dated Cisco at one point in time. I had a friend who was, and I had some exposure to the music industry in my late teens, early 20s. And I have friends who were actually signed to a record deal with Jazz, from the group. So I've been like adjacent to them also throughout the years. I'm just waiting for them to sue me. Eventually they will, maybe.
One day they're going to be like, hell you, I've seen you.
I just want to like pay them. Like I can go and I forget the thing that it's called, but I've actually looked it up. I could pay Cisco to do a drop or something for me. So I'll probably do that. Now, people have always said, and I have ideas for things and utilizing the music for marketing, branding type stuff. So we'll get there at some point.
Funny because my husband is from Baltimore, and and he grew up probably around the same time you did. And so when I told him, I was like, hey, I'm interviewing someone on my podcast named Dru Hill. He's like, no, you're not. Like, no, I actually am. And he was like, my husband is also really exposed to the music industry. His father is a musician. He spouted off a bunch of facts about Dru Hill that I never knew. Anyway, I was like, okay, I'm not surprised. Like, don't ever put me and him in a music test ever, at least for that era or that genre. I will lose. So I know when I'm not strong.
You know your strengths, yeah.
I know my strengths, and music and R&B and hip hop from the 90s is not my thing. Oh, it is, but not my trivia knowledge.
What is your trivia knowledge?
What is my trivia knowledge?
Yeah.
Well, if you give me 80s music, I love 80s music. I'm also super into, you can ask me anything about health and nutrition, and I will tell you pretty much anything you want to know.
Okay.
I have the most obscure facts about health and nutrition. It's my thing.
Well, that's good to know because I don't even know what a calorie is. That's fine.
You don't know what a calorie is? You just eat them. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, my wife is like, do you know how many calories this thing is? I'm like, I don't know, like 10.
That's honestly how I am about people's ages, because I can't even guess ages anymore. I used to be really good at like, oh, I think this person's probably X and whatever. But now I'm like, everyone looks the same age to me. So it's the same thing. How old is that person? I don't know. 10? I'm kidding. I think like having a name like yours is very brandable. It's a very brandable name. Are you a team leader too? Do you have a team or do you mentor agents? Just you all by yourself? You don't have a transaction coordinator or a VA?
I do have a TC. I have a transaction coordinator. She's awesome. Sarah Jean's amazing. Just me and my TC.
I like it. So I was curious, like one of your ideas with your business was to start a team and like have it be something around the name.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I've been mixed on that. Like I've thought about that aspect. To me, in my mind, explored it and had conversations with people more so about saying like, hey, like you do really good business. I do really good business. I feel like we could do really good business together. More so like a sharing of cost type things. I've also had conversations with people. I went through the process. I've done all my stuff for like my managing broker's license. So that's all done, except I should just take the test if I want to do that. I think for me, like I understand the idea and the reasons for growth and things like that. For me, in my mind, this is my limiting belief and things like that. If I get to the point where I have too much business than I myself can possibly handle, then I'm like, okay, well, I need some help with these things. And I feel like there's different steps, whether it be, buyer's agents or someone to help with listings and things like that, be helpful. But the idea of just like, okay, I'm going to get a team and then have to go get some business to support this team, that's stressful to me. Like, just take care of me.
Fair.
Myself is enough. I don't want a bunch of people looking at me like, oh, where the deals at? Where the checks at? Where the leads at? I mean, I would like, I've been looking for my, have you watched the show Suits?
Yeah, I love that show.
I'm looking for my Donna. When I find my Donna, like my world will just be great. I just need someone to do the things and just let me. I was talking to someone about them, their team and things like that. And they were like, they pivoted from their like name something to some blah, blah, blah real estate of some sort. Because they're looking at, down the line when they want to then say, sell that business, they just sell Appalachian real estate or whatever, then it is, Dru Hill, whatever team, whatever, blah, 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 blah. That's on my mind as well. We'll see. I feel like if I ever get to the point, I'm not terribly, focused on that. I don't do too much. Just want to be able to take care of my goals and the things I want to accomplish.
Well, I can tell you, I got my managing broker's license, which by the way, the test is like the easiest test I've ever taken in my life. Everyone had me so stressed out about it.
Same.
Everyone was like, oh my gosh, it was the hardest thing. I'm like, are you kidding? It's just like the real estate exam to me was so easy. Even the math was easy because the math is always a thing. I'm like, oh God, I do all the math tests and bought the extra math tests and stressed myself out. And it was one of the easiest things I've ever done. So just take the test. It's super easy. As long as you know what you're talking about. There wasn't anything obscure on there. But anyway, I did go after start building a team, and I had the exact same thought process as what you were just saying, because it's Linnea Carver Home Team, and I'm still branded that way. I don't have a team anymore, but I do, but not in the traditional sense, right? Like I have a TC, I have, an ops manager, that sort of thing. But I thought about the same thing. I was like, I don't know if I could ever hand off Linnea Carver Home Team. Like that's my name, and I'm not giving my name to anybody. So definitely something to think about, because it came up for me when I got down the pathway. I disbanded my team. I don't have a team anymore. It's like, I don't like it. I like doing my own thing. I have people that show homes for me if I need help showing
Yeah.
homes, or I have people that like agents in my group like to, learn. So they shadow me on listing appointments, or they'll do like field work for me for listings, like getting it ready. And that's really helpful. Yeah. I'm the same way on a team, but I do support taking the managing brokers test. I think it's just good to take it, because it's like, oh, when are you going to test yourself again in real estate?
Yeah. Which I have some clock hours I need to knock out.
There you go. Okay. So one other thing that I kind of want to talk to you about, and we talked about this on our last call, was like the financial reality of real estate, right? I think we both shared our story, how like gone from being like negative to not being negative. How do you have a family to support? So how do you do it? How do you manage your money that supports your family in a way that's healthy and makes you guys, makes you feel.
So one of the things with the real estate things, and that's one thing I always try to talk to people, especially new agents, what's the plan? Because this is a business, and you're gonna just huff it out there, and you have organic ways. I mean, you need money just to maintain your life, and then there's all the other things that come with it. A lot of us, like I was for the first 5 years. Now I was working in marketing full time, doing real estate part time for the first 5 years. Then actually did the thing of like, all right, I'm all in, and actually got my LLC and my S corp, and doing all the things like the right way, instead of just like, oh, I got a commission check, awesome, let me go spend this, or doing it that way. So I've had to work to figure out from budgeting perspective, okay, what do I need to pay myself to be able to maintain the household, right? And just having myself on payroll. So that's just what I get paid. If I'm making $5,000 this month, or 60,000, 100,000, I don't then adjust and say, oh, I'm going to give myself, more money. I'm just saying here's what I need. Everything else is going to stay within the business and be reinvested to help the business grow, so that I can say, all right, you know what? I mean, not there yet, but it'll feel great when I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, cool. Like I have enough money in the account. So I know that I can make my payroll, which is myself, for 5 years. Oh, that's excellent. If I don't sell another thing in 5 years, I still know I'm able to pay myself what I need to in order to maintain my household. So then it's like, you can kind of take care of that basic need. And then it's like, all right, but also, we can't just have money just sitting there. Money needs to be reinvested. So I have to be very careful, because I'm an easy person to sell on things. You call me and I'm like, oh, that sounds amazing. Like, how much is it? Here you go. Oh, that sounds fun. So I have to be careful, all the shiny things, and just kind of saying, okay, let me make sure it's something. Let me do the free trial first, or let me go through and make sure it's actually going to serve and be beneficial. Like, what's the potential ROI on this thing? Also, the challenging thing is, because of my marketing background, I do recognize that everything, can't be measured in ROI. And so sometimes you're doing stuff and it's like, that sounds like a cool thing. My name's out there doing this, blah, blah, blah. And people are seeing it. People are seeing my name as much as possible. Creative too. So I'm always coming up with new ways and trying to do new things. And a lot of times that involves, just getting back to that aspect of, I imagine it's a lot harder for people who don't have families and kids and things like that, because they're just like, I'm just going to go do this trip. I'm just going to go spend this money, because there's nothing else really that I have to, be mindful of. But I do have to really make sure that monitoring things, and like, if I get to the point where like, okay, I can make this month, but I'm gonna need something else to close to extend past this time frame. I've had to turn off my payroll period of time, where I was going to have to scrape by here and dip into savings a little bit and kind of maneuver things. But yeah, I think it's just, you have to have it structured properly as far as the business is concerned. You have to be setting money aside. And again, you're running a business. You're not just a real estate agent out there just doing whatever. You should be saying, okay, no, this is a business. I also, as a business, you should want to grow. And a lot of times to grow, you're going to have to make some investments, whether that be having an operations person who maybe to getting a good one. I don't know how people find the ones who just don't get paid when you get paid. A lot of the good ones, they're like, hey, no, I'm doing my job. Whether or not you're able to close and things, that doesn't impact me. Being able to say, all right, well, I need to make sure that I'm having the money. So then that person's not looking at me funny we're a couple months down the line and I don't have the money to pay them. So it's really just the business things. I'm actually planning to go to a business planning clinic with Jeff Glover next month. Again, just the learning stuff and trying to figure out, okay, how do we build things that can be something that's lasting, like your mom's business, right? How is that something that can last for 2 or 3 years, and something 20, 30 years. And like my kids, if they want to get into it, something I can say, oh, cool, here's something that you don't have to go begging people for jobs and all that kind of stuff. You have a job, you have a career, you have a business right here.
I love that. One of the things that I teach to my agents is the importance of a money system. That I actually teach my money system, which is exactly what you were talking about is like, how do you actually take the income that you have and be able to allocate that properly into other areas of your life, right? And so there's so many different ways to look at money. I learned this because the one year I was like, I'm going to buy radio ads. And so I bought radio ads. Okay. And the radio ads are good. And I did grocery carts, radio ads. I did the whole like grocery thing, the strip thing. And then I was in like a couple of kiosks up here and I had like my face on it, like the hand sanitizer kiosks, right? And so I was everywhere. I was like, I want everyone to see my name. Everyone. The hard part about that is that's really hard to track the ROI.
Yeah.
You can't. It's really hard because it's kind of like what's the word I'm looking for? It's not a tangible ROI. It's almost like an intrinsic, like it's got some intrinsic value. It's branding, right? I think like when it comes to investing, it's like you kind of have to look at the tangible value versus the non-tangible value.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that you had said that I thought was good was when you said, "Oh, I hate it when this happens to me." Okay, never mind. I'll come back to it. But it's the tangible versus intangible and how, not everything is a good investment. Oh, wish list. That's what it was. So you said it's really easy for me to say yes. I'm the same way. If you give me a really good sale, like I just invested a lot of money in a mastermind for an entire 12 months. And I said yes because the salesperson listened. They heard exactly what my pain points were, and they spoke directly to my pain points. And I am a sucker for a great salesperson. I love sales. In order for me to make that decision, I actually implemented a wish list. Part of my money system is that I have a wish list. So when I talk to somebody, I used to be like, yes, because I'm a high D. I'm like, decision. But I also had to be like, that decision can make me broke. So I actually implemented a wish list. So now I put everything, part of my money system is I put everything onto a wish list, and then I review my wish list once every 2 weeks. It's a set appointment on my calendar. Every 2 weeks I go and I review it and I see how I feel about it at that time. So that's been really helpful for me. For someone who says yes all the time, that wish list thing has been amazing.
Okay.
So there you go. A tip for you. Anyway, so real quick, I know you were also talking on the previous call about how you really like to help and teach and train new agents. Talk to me a little bit about that. How many agents do you like to work with at a time? Are you a mentor for your brokerage? What's that look like?
I'm just an open door policy type thing. I don't have formal mentor relationships with people. I just always want to let people know that, and this is newer agents, more seasoned agents, whatever, if you have a question about something, you can always ask me, especially if you're looking at something, how can I need some ideas. I'm an idea person, and I really like it, A, because I just like to help people. I would also B, because I will sometimes, in helping someone else, come up with an idea for myself. Like, hey, I'm really having a hard time with lead generation, getting business. And it's like, oh, well, like, where are you? What are you doing? Parts of any groups? Do you have any hobbies or interests or anything like that? Have you thought about highlighting, your local businesses or doing different things? I'm just like, oh, that's a great idea. Let me write that down. So I love it just because I do want to help people. I do think there's enough business out there for people who are good professionals to be able to have careers. I don't have to withhold things from other people or I don't have like a secret sauce or something that I can't share with other people. So I always want to be able to if people are seeking me out and people want to legitimately want to learn what I have to offer. Because I do think I have offer, to some people, even with people who are kind of, stuck in their business and where they're at. I'm like, okay, well, I've been there. I am there. We're always there. It's always a challenge. Things are changing every day. Here's something to try. And especially with my background, having worked in marketing and things like that, then I can kind of take and say, okay, well, here's where, from a brand perspective, or look at something like, well, here's, a couple helpful things, especially a lot of newer agents. And I go and I look at them up and I look at their, some of their social medias and things like that. Some people are like, well, what exactly are we selling? Because it could be houses, it could be something else. I don't know. I just love it because I do like to help people. And I do think, back to our first conversation of having that better class of agents, having those professionals, everyone has a responsibility. And so if we, as people who have been in the industry for a while, are not giving these people what we feel is a good way or the right way and things to go about the business, then they're going to get it from someone else. And that could be bad. So it's better to take the time to give instruction and things when we can. And people were kind to me when I got in the industry, so I love to, pay it forward as well.
I agree. I think I was kind of spoiled having my mom as my mentor when I got in the business. Not in the sense that she definitely didn't give me business. She made me learn. Like, I think it was probably the best mentor because I didn't get any business from her. Like, I had to learn how to go out and find my own. For 6 months, I had no deals. And I remember one day I'm in the backyard picking up dog poo. And I was like, I just need to get my first deal. I just need momentum. And as soon as I got my first deal, which I got from a party, just handing out business cards at a party. As soon as I got my first deal, it was like momentum. So I agree. And it was my mom the whole time who kind of taught me that collaboration. Like, let me teach you, but don't let me feed you.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good distinction. So that's cool. That whole like collaboration, teaching, mentoring, that'll take your real estate career very far.
That's important. And, I'm part of a number of different Facebook groups and such. And there's always people who are like, hey, what are the best places to go to, to get leads, to pay for leads, or what brokerages offer leads and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, here are some things, like if that's the route you want to go, here are some things that could be useful for you. But if you want to learn to actually do it yourself, how to fish yourself, so you can have a lasting bit, because all it takes is to turn off that pipeline and now you're stuck. So if you want to learn how to do it yourself, I'm happy to give you that, to teach you things that I've learned that are helpful for me. No obligation thing. And you're going to say you'd be surprised, but you probably wouldn't be surprised at all. Just like the sheer number of people who don't reach out, the people who don't want to do that, the people who don't want to put in the work, all I can do is offer.
I have a coaching business, and that's exactly what I teach about. I don't teach, like in my coaching, I don't talk a lot about lead generation in the sense what we're talking, right? We don't talk about like, go and, do the big Z, and I don't talk about ads. I don't talk about that. I talk about lead generation in the form of building relationships with people and going out and doing the work and promoting businesses, just being genuine and actually caring about people, and bringing in business that way. So I know exactly what you mean. I see those same posts and I'm like, people are like, I think you probably commented on the same one I commented on the other day. It was like someone looking for a brokerage that provides leads. And I'm like, is that, cool if that's what you want, but like, there's so much more to a brokerage than just leads, in my opinion. There's so much more. So we could probably talk about this forever, but we're out of time. So my people are watching from all over the country. Tell them where you're located, what kind of referrals you take, and how they can help your business.
I am in Seattle, Washington. So I service the greater Seattle area. So that'll be from all the way down to Tacoma, sometimes Olympia, all the way up to Everett, sometimes poke a little higher, the east side as well, so Bellevue areas. I love working with first-time home buyers. Military is a large part of my business. I'm a sucker for single parents. Like, really, those are like some of the most vulnerable people. I really want to help them. I think real estate is a great vehicle for people to be able to kind of chart their own path and build wealth in a very organic way that everyone has access to, and also know people from all over the country as well. If you are someone somewhere, please, connect with me, because I might know someone in whatever city that you're in. I love even people who are, if you have someone who's moving here, but they plan on renting, I'm a great resource just to be able to, there's not a lot we can do for renters, but I can give them some insight as far as the city and some good areas that might be of interest to them. Pretty much me, just love to talk real estate. So if you have a conference or something, or some mastermind or something, always willing to join those, always willing to share what I have and learn from others as well.
Love that. That's awesome. Good for me to remember too. So thank you. Dru, you've been an awesome guest. I really appreciate you and your time. I know you're super busy, so thank you. It means a lot to me, and it means a lot to everyone else.
Absolutely. Anytime.
All right, everyone, we'll see you on the next episode. I hope this was help value for you, and I will talk to you soon.